Local productions on QTV are made possible with support from viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello everybody, I'm Junia Doan. Thank you for joining us today. My guest today is Dr. Diane Postler Slattery. Diane is the president and CEO of MidMichigan Health. She earned her PhD in Education Administration from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. She received both her Master's of Science degree in Nursing Administration and her Bachelor of Science degree in Nursing from the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire. All her degrees were earned with honors. Prior to joining MidMichigan Health, she was president and chief operating officer of a 325-bed regional referral hospital, Asperger's Hospital in Wausau, Wisconsin. Diane has said she wants to focus on 5 things at MidMichigan Health and to do them well. 1, improve employee morale, then patient satisfaction, physician satisfaction, quality of care, and financial health. That's a lot. That's big. Welcome, Diane. So, what got you interested in healthcare as a field for a profession?
Well, that is a great question, because sometimes every so often you reflect back on your life and you say, how did I end up in the career that I am? And when I graduated, or when I was in high school, Junia, it was quite a while ago. I'm not going to tell you when, but it was quite a while ago. And my career counselor at the time said, oh, Diane, you know, you're doing well in school. You should be a teacher or a nurse. Those were the options that I was kind of steered toward at that time. And I said, well, I'll give nursing a try and see how I like it. And I have to say that somewhere along the line, even though I felt that maybe they could have given me a few more options as a woman to go into from a professional career, I think that nursing fit my personality and my career path really well. So I ended up in nursing, probably because at the time that's the careers that were offered women. But looking back, it was the best thing that I possibly could have done.
Why is that?
I think nursing as a profession allows you the opportunity to do so many things. I mean, look at now, I'm the CEO of a healthcare system.
Yeah.
And I'm a nurse. And if you think back, that wasn't the career path that many people felt that you needed to take in order to be the CEO of the system. But I think nursing offers you the opportunity to be in the middle, to coordinate care, to have to deal with a lot of different personalities, a lot of different situations, conflict management. I think it gives you the entire skill set that you need in order to help run an organization.
Interesting. I read that while you were in the nursing aspect of your life, period of your life, you came up with a vision for nursing that won an award and was very well respected. What was that about?
Well, it was early on in some of the things that nursing was trying to provide to the nation to show from a national perspective that nursing is really the profession that we all know it to be. And at the system I was at, we did decide to go on the magnet journey, is what it's called, a magnet facility. And a magnet facility is a credentialing process that the American Nurses of Credentialing gives to different organizations. And as part of that journey, you have to demonstrate that you have really taken nursing to the next level at your organization. So our organization decided to pursue that journey, and within about a 4-year path, we received that accreditation.
Good for you. Congratulations.
Yes.
Do you think you would go into healthcare as a field now if you were starting at this moment?
I do. You know, there's certainly healthcare has become extremely complex, complicated, and some people who are in the provider world would even say it's not as much fun as it used to be. There's so many regulations. But I'm kind of drawn to the service field, so I believe even if I made the decision today, I'd still go into healthcare.
So your satisfaction comes from serving people, making their lives better?
It does. I think the greatest thing for me is when we make decisions in our organization that impact the way patient care can be delivered. There's nothing that gives me more satisfaction than when I get feedback from people who have come to our system that tell us that we've done an excellent job for them.
Well, what makes for patient satisfaction?
It's that again is complicated because you may come into the healthcare system and have these as your expectations. Somebody else comes and they have this as their expectation. So our job is to take all of those things and tailor your healthcare to your individual needs. So we hear things, for example, some people are satisfied if they're treated with respect, if they're listened to, if their environment is clean, if they feel that they have a relationship with their physician or their provider. That gives them great satisfaction. Other people want satisfaction if they're in and out quickly. That gives them satisfaction. So we really do try to tailor it to the individual needs of the person using our services.
How important is that relationship between whoever's in the room from the hospital, whatever their role is, and the patient? How important is that bond between the two cases you just mentioned?
I would say that it's extremely important. You know, if you think about it, you know, most everybody has a relationship with their primary care physician or their nurse practitioner or physician assistant. You develop a closeness with that person. You share things with that person that you don't share with probably anybody else. So that relationship is really critical for helping navigate through the healthcare system, specifically if you have some diagnosis that is difficult or problematic. That relationship is really important.
When you hire people, do you look for that ability to be that kind of a person?
You know, it's funny that you asked that question. I just went through the MidMichigan Health orientation, and as I sit back and I'm doing the orientation myself, I always reflect, I wish there was a test. Maybe someday I'll design a test that measures people on their service aptitude. And I believe that if there was a test that I could tell whether or not you truly have the service gene, that would make a huge difference in healthcare. I believe that the most critical element of any practitioner in healthcare is the ability to be empathetic and the ability to build that relationship. You can teach skills easily. You can't always teach how to be empathetic and how to really truly respond to different patients in their time of need. So I really wish I could have a test that would score people on that.
Next program.
I know.
Let's go for it.
I know.
How does one build a relationship in that short time frame that you're in the room for the first few times? What would you recommend, or what have you observed?
Well, I can go from my personal experience. As you talked about my background, I am a nurse by background. I started out in critical care and also did some emergency room experiences as a nurse. And it's particularly in the emergency department, you don't have a very long interaction with some people. And I think number one is walking in, and this might sound really basic, but having really good eye contact.
Yes.
And treating the person in the bed as a person. You start to do those two things, and then you can start to go into the diagnosis and the treatment and telling people why you're there, what your next action item is going to be, what you're going to do. I think that's what helps build relationships.
Yes, and also a sort of a smile, sense of confidence that I'm here to help and you will be helped.
Right. Oh, you couldn't, yes, absolutely.
Yes. And I believe in great information. You know, sometimes when someone gives a test, they've done it so many times, they don't know that it's foreign and difficult for the person about to receive it in the emergency room or routine. And it's really nice to hear, here's what I'm going to do, this will take so much time, this is what we're looking for, this is what you're going to expect, we may have to repeat it, or just so that you have a frame for the event. But I guess I'm that way anyway. I just like to know. I don't like, you know.
Yeah.
But that's really interesting. Did you find when you mentioned employee morale, you've got a lot of people working there. What have you learned about lifting employee morale?
I think, throughout my career, there's different times when different departments are going through tougher times than others. So I think part of our job as being in management is to be able to recognize when an area is not where you need it to be. And if you don't have employees engaged in their work, you can't do all the innovative things that you want to do. So I think for me, the way that I've been able to really work on morale is going and having face-to-face conversations with the department. What are the things that you think, for example, what are the things that MidMichigan Health does well as a system? What are you proud of? Finding what those things are and then building off of that. And then you go right into the next part of the conversation. What is it that we don't do well? And I think the best way to start building morale is to truly listen. Employees, many of them have been there for a really long time. Since I've started here, I've met people who have been here 40 years, 45 years.
Oh, really?
Right?
Yeah, that's a lot.
The system I came from, I was
lifetime.
with 26 years.
Yeah,
so
a
I
generation.
understand, yes, I understand that loyalty that people have to their organization. They have a lot to say. They have a lot to
Yes.
tell us on how we could make things better.
So you have also mentioned, I have read, that you believe this is an excellent system, but you want it to be super excellent.
Yes.
Or it isn't enough to just meet the benchmark. You want to exceed it and set the standard.
Yes.
How do you identify what areas you can try for that? You can't try on everything, I wouldn't think.
That's a great question. And as you mentioned, I have 5 things that I want to
Yes.
be the top quartile.
Yes.
I want to have the best quality. I want to be an organization that the rest of the nation looks at and says, how is MidMichigan Health achieving those quality standards? So I do want to be in the top quartile for quality. I do want to be in the top quartile for financial viability. You have to be strong financially, so you have to balance the two. I do want to be in the top quartile for employees that say this is a great place to work. I do want to have our patients say, you don't want to go anyplace else for your care, you want to go to MidMichigan Health. And then I want our providers, our physicians, CRNAs, PAs, NPs, you name it, I want them to say MidMichigan Health is a great place to practice as a provider.
Oh,
So I know you can't do it all, but in my mind, if we don't do those 5 things well, it's hard to do one well without the other.
I see. Well, what would make a patient or a person want to go to MidMichigan or recommend it? What things have to be done well for that or series of patients to say, listen, don't go anywhere else, go there?
I go back to fundamentals. People have to feel that after they've left there, that we really listened to
Yes.
what it is that they came in with, that we not only met their expectations, but we exceeded their expectations. We gave them information, we treated them in a way that they didn't expect. It's that old adage, you can go to a restaurant and have a good experience. If you have a good experience, how many people do you tell? Probably not that many.
Yes.
When I go to a place and I walk out of there saying, wow, that was incredible, I tell everybody.
That's true.
That's what I
Find.
want. Yes, that's what I want. I want people to come in and experience MidMichigan Health in a way that they say, I can't explain what's going on there, but it's a wow. You got to go check it out.
Now, I have been through some of the corridors, and I have noticed that you have painted the walls a different color, flower. You've named the elevators after birds. I read that now when a baby is born, we have Brahms' Lullaby over the PA system. What are you aiming for with those touches or changes?
Well, a couple of things. One is, we're trying to be financially responsible on the things that we're doing, but it goes, there's so much research that shows if your environment feels warm and welcoming, your employees like coming to work. When patients and visitors come through the door, they automatically feel more welcome versus a more sterile institutional environment. So that's what we're trying to accomplish. We're trying to warm up the place.
What are other ideas? Well, maybe I shouldn't ask.
Well,
'Cause
sure.
then it
No,
won't be a surprise.
One of the things that we're doing is, if you've noticed, we have some beautiful artwork,
Yes.
but we don't have. There's a lot of our hallways in a number of our facilities in Elma and in Clare and Gladwin
Oh.
and in Midland that are still don't have anything on the walls. So we have created a contest for our employees to submit pictures, and we are choosing pictures that are nature in their presentation, and we are going to be putting those on the walls in a number of our places where we don't have paintings. So that's another thing we're doing.
That's nice.
Yes, yes.
So you have a farm background, right? In part.
Yes, yes.
Does farming teach you anything that you can use in your current position?
I think it does. When you talk about my farming background, I was blessed to have the opportunity. My dad was a school teacher, but every weekend and every summer we would go help my grandparents on their farm, and they had a dairy farm in central Wisconsin. And here's what it taught me. It taught me hard work. I had the utmost respect for people who are in farming. There is, I don't want to knock other professions, but oh my goodness, when you're a farmer, you work hard.
It's relentless.
It's relentless. It's every day you wake up with a set of things that you need to get done in order to make ends meet. So I think it taught me hard work.
Can hard work be taught if they don't have, one does not work on a farm or have that experience?
I think, yes, I think there's other professions that certainly demonstrate hard work, but I think with farming, I think what you said, relentless, it's 7 days a week. 365 days out of the year, you've got a task before you. And as my grandfather used to say, the cows don't wait. When they need to be milked, they need to be milked. So you just learn that, you learn how to organize, you learn how to prioritize. I also think you learn how to deal with, not conflict, but with extraordinary circumstances. You are completely at mercy for the weather.
Oh,
if you have a drought year, you have to figure out how you're going to manage and fend for your, where are you going to get your crops? How are you going to feed your cattle? When it's a year that it rains every day, how are you going to get your crops off the field? So you have to learn to deal with those stressors. And I think that helped me, dealing with conflict, dealing with stress.
And sudden change.
And sudden change, yes.
Yes. Life has changed. My grandmother said life is like the weather. And at the first I thought, what does that mean? And I good and bad times. What did your grandparents say? Did they have any sort of words of wisdom that you remember clearly?
They had,
like the cows don't wait?
Yeah, the cows don't wait. My grandfather used to say, make hay while the sun shines. It's just some of those. He was German by descent, and just a lot of the work ethic that came over from Germany. He was the second generation, but he just really had a lot of that work ethic, and he had a lot of the sayings that he came over with from Germany.
I think it gives a sense of self-discipline that it's hard to get. I've really been thinking, being a city girl, how do you get that sense of resilience, relentless, that you deal? And it's nice to have an early experience, but I think it's also mindset that you have to and you will, kind of learn it. The hospital has been such a central part of life here in Midland. I mean, the families have been so involved, and the foundations, and the town, and the volunteers, and now we have a new association with the University of Michigan, and so what can we expect, or not be surprised by, the hospital in relationship to Midland, or Gladwin, or wherever they are?
I think you can continue to look to MidMichigan Health to be an organization that's not going to be the status quo, that we are going to be able to I think you're going to be able to look to MidMichigan Health to be one that does set the trends, that is looking for how we can be innovative. I think our relationship with the University of Michigan is going to give us access to some world-class leaders and that knowledge base. I like to say we have world-class leaders right here in the MidMichigan Health system, but expanding that, having more people to bounce ideas off, is only going to make us stronger. So I think you're going to see MidMichigan Health very much a player in healthcare, not somebody who's just willing to deal with the things that we have going for us now. You're going to look for us to be innovative out in the region, looking at other affiliations and other partnerships that can make us stronger.
When you applied for the job, what about it interested you or felt there were interesting challenges?
Yeah, that's another great question, because as you probably have figured out, I've spent my entire career and my entire life in central Wisconsin, just venturing out a little bit to Eau Claire and to Madison, and felt that I would probably always remain in Wisconsin. And when this opportunity came up, I wasn't looking. I had met a recruiter by accident on at a conference, and he remembered me, and he picked up the phone and said, "I know you're not looking, Diane, but I want you to just come and check this opportunity out." And I'm like, "No, Michigan, I'm not sure that I want to travel that far away from family." And he's like, "Diane, just come." So I came for that first interview, and it was quick. It was an hour long, and I was in and out, but I got a feel for what Midland's like. So when they called me to say, "We'd like you to come back," I wanted to come back to learn more. And the second time I came back, it's exactly what you said. I felt embraced by the community. I loved the Midwest values that I felt. And I loved the opportunity to be able to lead an organization into the future, and felt that my clinical background was going to be a strength for MidMichigan Health. And that's how I ended up there.
In your administrative training for the doctorate, is there anything you took away that's really helpful at this point in your life or earlier points?
I think probably because I was in a doctorate for education administration, so my whole career path had been healthcare, and I did my doctorate in education. So I was in classes with superintendents and principals and that whole education realm. And the takeaway is, as much as we think we're all very different in our professions, we're more alike than we're apart.
Interesting. Same problem. People. We're dealing with people.
People, budgets, relationships.
Now, you have a wonderful husband, and he has also moved with you. So that's a whole different experience, because probably you're busy, you may not have the time.
Yes.
And what words of wisdom did you impart to him, or did he, if I may ask? Don't answer if you don't want to.
We made the decision together. So I think that, when you make a lifestyle change like that, you have to be in partnership. And he was at a part in his career. He's got an MBA. He had been working in facilities and project management, real estate management for the healthcare system. He has also a biomed background. And when we made this decision to come here, he decided to retire early. He's managing our property here. He's managing our property back in Wausau. And in the meantime, he's also he's been doing all the things behind the scenes that help make my job easier. And I think that's critical. There's no way that I could do this job and manage everything in the home front at the same time. So we made this journey together. He told me just last week that he's really very satisfied in his life here and what we're doing. So that's really encouraging.
That is a major compliment to you, never mind the rest, but also to his attitude. I think I moved here as a stranger from New York, and right away I discovered everything is attitude. You can make it work if you have the right attitude, and if you don't, it slips away from you. And so it's wonderful to have a spouse who in fact will support that kind of activity. And I think I will just end it there and do a little bit of a wrap-up. So Diane has emphasized certain things that we can take away about her, but also our own lives. And that is to recognize that new is interesting, really interesting, and worth the effort, and that everything begins with understanding, and the only way you really can understand is talk to and keenly listen to the people who are in the jobs about not only what's going well, but what could be going better. In the meantime, she has established fields, but it isn't good enough to be just there. She wants to take it further, which is very intoxicating. I really relate to that because that's how progress happens for the human condition, you know, take it further in a positive way. She was blessed with certain, what do I want to say, benefits because of her early farm work, that she could work hard and focus and deal with change and keep at it regardless of what she was feeling in the moment. And finally, she made an excellent choice in who she married, and that's very important. So I wish you well. I wish you a wonderful week. Remember, go out and do something kind for someone you know and someone you don't know, and do it every single day. And I'll see you next week, and thank you again for tuning in, and thank you, Diane.
To contact Junia, send her an email at info@juniadoan.com. For more information, program schedules, and news about future guests, go to www.juniadoan.com. Thanks for joining us. See you next time for Uncommon Sense with Junia Doan.
Local productions on QTV are made possible with support from viewers like you. Thank you.